Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm gonna showcase how to tie a good pikefly using only barely synthetic materials. I'm using some saddle feathers, but that's pretty much it. But I'll be using what we call Slinky fibers. It looks like this. It's something in between the SF blend and the EP fibers. Much more softer than ferro, less SF blend, highly fluorescent, and you can get them in a huge amount of colors. So let's get cracking and let's get tying and let's see how it goes. The hook I'm using today is Partridge Predator X in size 4.0. That's a very good hook for this type of fly. I do tie this fly articulated too. It's pretty easy to do in any kind. So what I'll do when I do the articulated, I just tie my fly here, mostly the tail, and then I hook up a shank and tie the rest of the fly there, finishing it off and getting this wiggle thing from the fly. That's pretty awesome. So what I'll do from starters here, I've mixed up some of the yellow and some of the chartreuse, and just tapering my tail. This is gonna be a fairly long fly, approximately 5 to 6 inch fly, so it's a quite big fly. Oh, almost done it wrong there. So I started with tying in the shortest part of the fibers, just bending it in two, and just tie the first part in here good and tight, and then I'll just drag the other fibers to the rear and fasten those good and tight. That's the start of the tail. I'll just remove my microphone so I can get hold of my glue. Just forgot to glue the body before I started, but that's not a problem. So there we go. And then I've mixed some more, but that's the orange and chartreuse. Just to get a good mix of colors, more or less like the firetiger, as many of you know. That's yellow, orange, and some chartreuse, and of course a bit of black markings. Then you have a firetiger. So this is fairly long, so I don't know if you can see it. I just taper this. Then I got this small bundle. I'll do keep this for later on, because most of the fly under the hook is tied with very small short fibers, so I'm sure not to cover up the entire hook gap, and eventually I will lose some fish, but that's not gonna happen with this fly, I'll tell you that. And even if the fly is a 5 or 6 inch fly, it's pretty much, or it's not pretty much, it's very easy to cast on even a fibre rod. It's not a problem. One blind cast and the fly is completely dry, so that works pretty good. Let's fasten this one up here. So the next I'm gonna tie in is the same and the same and the same and the same again. I'll just move up a bit on the hook here. I'll just go back a bit and secure it a bit more. So like this. It comes in 3 sections, more or less. I can do it in 4 sections, but normally I'll do it in 3 sections and the fly is finished. But and we'll just put on some more on the bottom part here. Just give it a good wrap here. So, and then we can fold this back. When the fly is finished, I'm gonna use my scissors and cut into this materials underneath the hook, so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't look that pretty for starters, but when the fly is finished and I've been finished cutting, the fly looks pretty decent. I'll tell you that. Always now, like you can see already now, the fly has become very dense, you can say, but very translucent at the same point. So I just leave my clamp here and just give it a dash of super glue here. Pretty sure it won't go anywhere. And then I'm gonna take some more of these fantastic fibers. I made a huge bundle here, so I'm just picking up some of it. And again, take the smallest part of the fibers and tie it in first. I don't know if you can see it here, but that's a small section and a long section, and the small section goes in first, so it gives a little lift for the longer fibers coming up. So it pretty much works very good. And I'm always doing that when I have tied in the bottom part. You can see there's a lump of thread here. I don't know if you can see, that's a lump of thread here. So when I'm tying in the next top section, I do it on this thread base, but finishing off in front of the thread base, because that little lump here between the hook and the, you can almost see it, that's a little lump. It gives a little lift for the next sections, so it won't flatten down so easy. So as you can see, there's a little lift to it, and this is very long, so I have to cut into this, taper it, and blend it into the rest of the fly. And of course I got a little bundle of material left here, and I will just go down and tie that in underneath the fly. So always using every amount of the materials, and again in front of this lump, and fold it back. A little bit in front and back again. Then you have the fly here, and I'll just take my brush, just comb it a bit, and then I'm gonna tie in some saddle feathers. You can see it's very clumpy underneath, but I'm gonna cut that off with my scissors, so it'll get a nice taper when I'm finished. Where's my clamp here? So now I'm gonna tie in some saddle feathers. I'm gonna tie in 3 saddle feathers. Oh no, actually I'm gonna tie in 2 saddle feathers. 2 on one on each side. And when I finish up the fly, I finish up by tying in 3 saddle feathers. 1 on each side and 1 on the top. So let's have a look. That looks pretty good, this one. There's some nice feathers, this one. Pretty decent quality. I don't know where it's from. I think it's, oh, it's a whiting. Of course. What else? It could be a key, or it could be anything else, but this one is a whiting. And just cut off this and take our clamp it down. Remember, when you're finished up with the fly and you have to cut into the fly, remember, don't cut into the saddle feathers and don't cut into the flash. Well, the flash is not in here yet, it's coming right now. So, and the flash I'm gonna use is a lateral scale in gold, and I'm gonna tie in 3 on each side, just to get a little blingy lingy on the fly. That's 3 from one side, and we need 3 from the other side. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a lot. I'll just take these 3. Didn't want to open the a new pack because I got another pack that's open, so I couldn't find it, so I'm just dragging it out of the back of the pack. So just taper this slightly like that, 3 different lengths, and we're gonna tie them in here on the side here. So, and we're gonna fold these 3 short ones back. So, and 3 more on the other side. Remember to taper them again. 3 different lengths, and tie them in here on the side of the fly, and fold these back. So, like that. Won't go anywhere. So, now we got our saddle feathers in, we got a flash in. It came in a little wrong, this flash, I can see. I did tie that down. It should be on the side, not, shouldn't be down. I'll just tighten this. So, like that. And we're gonna take our clamp again and clamp it down. So, now we're gonna tie in some more of these Slinky fibers. Just have a cigarette. So, now we're gonna tie in some more of these fantastic feathers here. It's not feathers, Slinky fibers, sorry for that. I'm all into feathers now. So I'm just gonna twist my thread, making it round, because the GSP thread normally lays in flat. So I have to twist it to make it strong. And I'm gonna taper this one too. Like that. And the smaller bundle, we're gonna tie that in underneath. I could do this before going down, just fasten this one like that, turn it around, do some more of these small sections, and in front like that, fold it back, just tight, good. That's a good wrap here. So like that, and we can take our clamp off and we can clamp it down again. You can do this, make it a weighted fly. So you put on some a small bead in front, or you can tie in some tungsten or whatever underneath the hook to make a more cheeky weeky fly, or you can fish it like this, unweighted. I got both. So now we're gonna tie in. We're gonna take some more of these fibers, and we kept that in orange and chartreuse. So now we're gonna keep this in. Oh, it's orange too. It's actually sunburst, and it's a awesome color. This sunburst. I just love it. Just have everything to it. Tons of fluorescent and shine, and yeah, it got so much. So you don't have to put in a ton of flash in this fly, because there's so much bling-lingy going on in these fibers. So I'll take a small bundle of the orange too. So a little orange, I'll say 15% orange, and the rest is chartreuse and sunburst in 2 parts. I will show you here. Here you have the 3 colors. So I'll just mix them into each other. I'll mix it at the top here. Just keep twisting and mixing and twisting and mixing so you see a result you are happy with. Looks pretty decent, that one. Then I hold it here and I brush it down so the mix will spread out to the rest of the fibers. And I'll just keep going till the mix is finished. You can drag it from each other, lay it over each other. There's a ton of ways you can mix your fibers. So some just, I don't know what it's called, between your fingers, but I don't have every English word for everything, but you know what I mean. So like that. That'll be a good mix here. You can see pretty close to the other one. Just turn it around, pinch it, and I just brush it out here. Of course, some of the fibers would come loose because it's synthetic, but and then I'll take a bundle of this, just I don't know, a third of it, like that, perhaps a bit more, because now we're gonna start building up the front of the fly. So we need some shorter fibers because we now gonna end. The tapering is starting at the tail, and it goes bigger and bigger and bigger. So we need our taper to stop in the middle of the fly here, or in the middle of the tail section, or what you can call it, body section. So we are sure we won't get a ton of materials in the tail, because the tail has to wiggle, and if you got too much materials in the tail, it won't wiggle. And again, gonna taper this one, taper it out. It comes a little longer than the first part, and we're gonna tie this one down too. Just give it a good wrap here. So, and we're gonna secure that with some glue. And we go to the bottom section, and again, small bundle, and the glue is a little soft now, so we'll just stick into it right away. Fold this back spread it out a bit here. Drag it a little bit up on the sides. The other sections I have tied in, that's more or less only been tied in on top of the bottom section. I just taper this for some room. And this smaller bundle, just taper it, tie it in again. You can use every material to get some fillings on top of the, in the front of the fly. Doesn't have to be the longest fibers, like that. And then we're gonna section 2 for the top. Like that, and just tighten it good. Tight it good and fold it back, tapering it like that. Just need to tie this one in. And you can see this is a pretty long fly, and I'm gonna drag these fibers down to the side too, covering a bit of the side of the fly now. Didn't do that earlier because I don't want the body to be thick in the end, the bottom of the fly. I want to have a slim tapering in the end of the fly, so it gets more wiggly. You can see that begins to look like a decent pikefly, this one. Just need to taper this one a bit more. It was a little lumpy. That's the perfect thing with these fibers, you can just cut into them. It doesn't really matter. You can drag the scissors in the fibers if you got a good sharp scissors, and just drag it along the fibers, and you just trim some of the fibers away without making some cuts into it. So you can see that has a nice taper here, and already now we're looking at, I don't know, 25-26 centimeters. That's, I don't know, that's close to 5 inch, I think. But an inch is 2.5 centimeters, I think, approximately. 2.57 or something like that, I think. Okay, that's another story. I got this lump here of, and I'll just taper this out. I can see there's a lot of fibers in here getting stuck, making I don't know what you call it, a sharp marking in the fibers. So this one I'm just gonna take in this time the long fibers first and then the short fibers, because now we're gonna build up the taper on the head, and we're gonna finish the fly off with a dubbing loop with some Tanuki hair in orange, just to cover everything and making a nice clean head, ready for the eyes and the UV resin. Like that. I'm just folding this back, and again I'm gonna drag them a bit down on the side of the fly, just to make some covering of the mess we have been doing, more or less. Sorry. And now I'm gonna take some more of this fantastic material. You can see, sorry, sorry. This is always almost use. This is an almost new pack. I've been tying 2 flies on these, and this I've been tying 4 flies. 4, 5 or 6 inch flies I've been tying on this from the start. So there's a ton of fibers in this Slinky fiber, and it comes from the Danish futurefly. Futurefly has a ton of I would call luxury materials. It's so luxurious, you won't believe it. They are handpicking every material they send out to the customers before they store it. Even before they store it, when they get the materials from, well, they get the fiber. The feathers are from whiting, and they have made a deal on just putting on their own brand mark on the feathers. So all the feathers you can buy on Futurefly is from whiting. So then you know the quality is just high top quality. Won't get any better, in my opinion. But there's a lot of opinions out there. And I think you can get one, I don't know what's that in euros. I bought that for, it's about 50 Danish kroners for a pack of Slinky fibers. And you can, that's, I don't know what that's 5, 6 euros, something like that. 7 euros, around 7 euros for a pack of Slinky fibers. And you can tie a ton of flies on these. You can use it for, yeah, I don't know, plenty of patterns out there. And again, now we're getting close to finishing off the fly. So now we're gonna tie in the saddle feathers again. I just have to check these feathers because there are some smaller and some longer feathers, just so I get them right. That was a long one, and that was a long one too, I think. Just checking it out here. That was the smaller feathers, that was from the side, and the long one from the top. So we'll just tie in some saddle feathers here on the side, and one on the top, and one on the other side. And just go all the way to the front. Tied in here, very good, and go back again. Just go a little bit into the materials like that. So now we're gonna cut off these stems, and just gonna drag the fibers back here. Just take my dubbing needle. Won't get trapped in here, so like that. And then we're gonna put the clamp on here. So now we're gonna put in some more fibers here, just to cover the. It's just to cover. It's for a bit of protection for the saddle fibers, so they are not so exposed to the pike teeth. I'll just give them a little coverage. And these fibers, I'm just gonna drag them down. I'm not gonna cut them off or anything, because then I will have the opportunity to have some fibers on the side. And you're just gonna cut these off in tapered manner. So remove that. Just take my scissors. It's just roughly cutting now. I will go in and cut into the fly later on when I finish the fly. So now we've got a small coverage of the saddle feathers here in front. And then I'm gonna take this sunburst. No, actually I'm gonna take the orange part. I did sunburst on the other fly, so this one I'm gonna do the orange, just to get a little bit more of this firetiger effect. Tapering it nice, and I'm gonna divide it into two, cut it, and tapering this end too, like that. Then you got a nice taper all over it, and we're gonna fold it once more and tapering it again. Then you got a good little bundle here, nicely tapered, and I'm just gonna spread them out around the hook. Oops, that was my mistake. Just went in too far. And we're just gonna take our nails and see too we got materials all around. It's happy to go up there, so just tighten it up here. Doesn't really matter because we're gonna cover this in Tanuki in a minute, like that. And then we're gonna fold this back to the other side. That's a little more to the other side here. Still a little more here. So 50-50 on each side, and just tie it in here, like that. And just secure it good. So like that, and some super glue. We are happy with super glue. Doesn't really matter in the end because we're gonna secure that in UV resin and ice. So, and now I'm gonna make my dubbing loop. Just go up in front here. Just take my dubbing twister here. See if it has dried out. I kind of dragged the jaws out of the of it yesterday, so actually this was that was not good, this one. I have to redo that because I didn't twist the thread first. As you can see, just tangles out in fibers looking like crap, so my mistake, sorry for that. I'll just twist my thread here nice and firmly, so I'll make my loop again. My mistake. Always twist your thread before making a dubbing loop, because you can see now you got a good strong loop. I'll just hang it here for a minute. I'm just finishing off this fly here just with a little knot, so now it won't go anywhere no matter what I do. So now we're gonna take our Tanuki here in hot orange. Just find a good piece here with some long fibers. I think it'll be around here. And I'm just gonna take in a good amount of Tanuki here. Just cutting this one off here. And now we're gonna remove all these cover fibers, the long stiff fibers. We don't need those. We only need the soft part of the skin. So we're just gonna drag these fibers out. Not gonna need that in any fly, almost. Salmon flies you can use it, but this stiff hair won't do you any good when making small flies. But that's another story. You can check into my videos about trout and salmon fly tying. You can see a lot of flies there and how to make them, and talking about using the materials correctly and etc. etc. Just remember to get all this under fur, under wool, get it out, get it brushed good, so we won't have those small fibers in here. And I have this in the tips, so I just take here, remove this my grip from the tips. You can use a tool for this, but it's not a problem to spread it out and use your fingers. So now I got this bundled up here. Just take it into my loop here, and we're gonna spread it out nice and even, and then we're gonna cut off the excess fibers on one side of the dubbing loop, so we won't get this huge lump of the center of the loop. Just feels too much, and then I'm going to twist this like hell. And of course some of this would come loose, but it doesn't really matter. That's why I picked up a good amount of Tanuki, because I know some of the fibers would go loose when you twisted it, and we're gonna twist it again. Sure to twist it good, so the fibers won't get loose or anything when tying or fishing or whatever. As you can see, I have cut before. I did cut on the one side, and you can see the stem of this false hackle is so thin, so you won't believe it. And that's very important when you're making this dubbing loops, and you brush it out and make sure that you won't have too much fibers on one side. And then I'm gonna drag the fibers to one side as close as possible, and we're just gonna make very, very, very tight turns here, almost into each other, just to make a nice finishing head here. And I lost my dubbing loop here. And that's the best part of finishing off a fly with a dubbing loop. You can almost get off with anything here, so just hide it. Hide your ugly fly tying with no, pike flying is it's not I don't think pike fly tying it's not a nice fly tying. It's pretty nice flies, but I'm used to tying flies for salmon and sea trouts, sea-run brown trouts. So fishing here in Scandinavia, in the Baltics, so that's another story, tying flies for salmon and sea trouts due to fly tying, pike fly tying. That's another ball game. So that's the best part when you have a dubbing loop, and the rest of the materials when you just drag it down. So when you have to finish it off, you have this little lump of thread you can pull into. That's another little tip for you. I'm just gonna twist my thread here, and I'm gonna take my dubbing loop, the rest of it, twist it around the thread, and just make some turns here, finishing off the head. And I'm gonna do it once more, just to be sure that this loop won't go anywhere. So like that. Cut off the excess loop here, if I can do that. So like that. And then we're gonna finish off the fly with some, finish off some knots or whatever. Just do some half knots here. It'll hold pretty good. Doesn't have to be pretty or anything, just have to hold until you get the eyes and the UV glue on. And then we're gonna brush it very good. And then I'm gonna remove the fly from the vise in a minute. So I have to cut it. So as you can see, you have a ton of materials under the fly. So now I'm gonna drag up most of the front of the fly here. Drag it in front. And then I got my fly here. So now I'm gonna take my scissors with the long jaws, and I'll just find the taper that's around there, and the hook shank is there, the hook tip, and I just cut into the flies here, into the fibers. You can do it on 2 or 3 times. Just check the fly every time, so it won't get too ugly. You can decide yourself how much, just shake it a bit. You can decide yourself how much you want to cut off the fly, but I think this would be pretty good. Just remember not to cut into the into the Tanuki, because you don't cut into natural hairs. You only cut into synthetic fibers, synthetic materials. Natural materials, never ever cut in them. Never ever. That's, then you will get banned from the fly tying community. Oh, that's an unwritten law that you don't cut into any kind of natural materials. As you can see here, there's one hair here. That's one of the stiff hairs from the Tanuki I hadn't removed, so now you can actually see what the stiff hairs in Tanuki does. It do shine out, and we do want to remove them. Well, it doesn't really matter on the Pikefly, but I hate them. I hate those long fibers. I think they're ugly and they're annoying and annoys my eyes. So now we've got a nice front on the fly. I'll just leave it for now like puffy, because we not need to take out some eyes here. And what kind of eyes do we need? We can do them in, I think we'll do them in a whitefish color. That's a black with a black pupil with a red marking and some silver marking. Just leave them there, and then I'm gonna take some super glue. That's glue on the back side of the eyes, but I like to secure them. I know that you have some UV resin over the eyes afterwards, but I'm not gonna cover the entire eyes in UV resin, only a bit in the front. So I want to be sure these eyes stick to the fly pretty good. So now we're going to take the first side here. I'm just going to drag it slowly back here and put on one eye here on the side and push it. That's one eye. And then we're going to brush this so we can see we got a good amount of materials all over. Nice and even. That's around there. And I have to look at my eye. The pupils are not even on each side. So you can see the point end of an eye always has to go forward, looking forward. Try look into a fish eye. It's not round, it's not oval, got an odd size. I just have to look 5 millimeters after the hook eye, and we're gonna push it into here. That's about it. That looks pretty decent. I'm just gonna remove any trapped fibers. Like that. And then I'm gonna take my UV resin here. I need a flexible, thick. That was a flexible. And then I'm only gonna cover 1/3 of the eyes and of course the front of the fly. But this takes a little time to do, but have to be done correctly to get a nice fly. So now I have covered it, and then I'm gonna drag the tip of my resin, whatever you call that, tip, metal tip. I'll just drag it around against the fibers. So I'm dragging in the trapped fibers, dragging them away from the eyes, and you can see you get a curve to it. So I just drag them out again, and you can do this by your fingers too. Actually, it's quite easy. You get a little sticky fingers, but you get a much nicer head when doing that. So like that, and then I'm gonna take my flashlight. I'm gonna flash it. Doesn't look like much now, but when you come in with the next coat of UV resin, you will see the finished result is very good. Then again, I got some fibers on my fingers. Drag the fibers back and remove my lamp. Don't get the hairs stuck on the outer side of the eyes, because the fibers will they will just stick into the eyes. Doesn't look that very good. So just let it sip in. Just need a little bit on the back side of the eyes. So, and again I'm gonna drag the glue into the fibers, so I'm not trapping any fibers in there. And you can work with the fibers and kind of form the head as you want to. That looks pretty good when you just hit it with the lamp here. And we're gonna take layer number 2, and now we have a good amount of UV resin here, so we just have to cover it up, making a nice even head here. It's allowed to be a little critical when you're doing this. because the prettier the fly looks, the biggest chance is that you're gonna pick the fly up in the box. If the fly looks like shit, you won't fish it. It will just be laying down in the box doing nothing, collecting dust. So it's good to use a little bit time on making your flies looking pretty. And now we're going to cover the eyes just slightly in front on the first third of the eye, actually where the UV resin stops. And as you know, we didn't put on any weight on the fly, but we got this UV resin, so it will get a little weight to it, but not much. So like that, I just make a small tip here again. I'm gonna remove the fly from the vise. I haven't hardened this last resin, and then I'm gonna take the fly. I'm just gonna shake it like that. Then I have taken all the UV resin, and now it's all even and clear and fine, and I just hardened it with my flashlight here. Like that. And here you go. Got one finished Pikefly, 6-inch. I can take it over here. You can see the fly here, I think, perhaps. But it's a pretty long, cool looking fly with some Slinky fibers from futurefly, some Tanuki from futurefly, and some saddle feathers from whitewing, and some lateral scale in gold. So there you have it, one finished Pikefly. So thanks for watching on my channel. Hope to see you again later on for some more fly tying. But that's all for now. My name is Jonas, and I'll see you on another video. Have a nice day.